Good morning, everybody. I'm Mr. Anish Mehta, and I would like to give you a small presentation today on overprint banknotes in the world. Uh, I will first try to give you a small introduction of what the overprint banknotes are, followed with some pictures and part of my collection to be shown. There are some notes in the collection which are not in my collection but are being shown in the presentation with the courtesy of some of the friends which I have in the field. Those are a few rare notes which, of course, are not in my collection. And I had requested some of my friends, and they were good enough to part with the images which I have put onto the presentation. I would now start the presentation. The overprint notes. What are basically an overprint note? You have different documents, including a banknote, where the basic printing has been done. The overprint would mean that you do a little print or a stamping over the original printing. First of all, I would like to thank the Hobby Club for giving me an opportunity to make this presentation. I had joined this club a few years back, and at present, I am one of the admins, and the WebEdu series, which is the presentations which we do online, has been started by me on this particular group. We have in this group varied collectors with different concepts of collection, and we help each other within the group to improve the collection as well as improve the knowledge on the collection. The Web Edu series has been started basically to impart the immense knowledge which all these collectors has gained during the process of their collection to maybe other collectors or even non-collectors. Till now, 13 presentations has been done. Today, what I am giving is the 14th, and we have six more lined up already, which we do on every Saturday in the morning. All these presentations are available and saved on the YouTube on the Hobby Club channel and can be viewed anytime by any of the viewers. I had about 10 weeks back given a presentation on hyperinflation World Bank notes. And fortunately, I have a viewership of almost 1,000, to be precise, 994 viewers for this. And I would like to thank all the viewers who has seen this presentation of mine. I would request all the participant today who is joining this presentation to subscribe to this channel so that you can be updated of all the presentation which are coming up, and also it encourages all the speakers. And in case you like the presentation which I do today, please like the same. Uh, Little about myself. I am an entrepreneur having an own business uh, in Bombay. Uh, I started this hobby of banknote collections sometime back in 2013. Uh, I am at present members of IBNS as well as the IBNS Indian chapter. Also affiliated and member of groups like THC, Collecting History, and a few other collector groups. When I started these collection, I started with the Indian Republic banknotes, which means the banknotes issued in India after the independence. Subsequently, I started adding the British India banknotes. Those are the banknotes prior to the independence, and then expanded to the private Indian banknotes, which are uh, before the 90s, and also subsequently started collecting the World banknotes. I do collection based on particular themes rather than just uh, collect arbitrary. The present themes on which I am collecting banknotes today are the hyperinflation banknotes, the overprint banknotes, odd denominations. There are a lot of banknotes which are with different odd denominations, banknotes and coins on odd materials. They are uh, available on various materials like silk and linen and coal and wax and a lot of other materials. That's what I collect. Uncut sheets, which are issued by many countries, pre 1900 and private banknotes. These are few themes on which I collect my banknotes at present. A little on the collection which we are talking today. This collection I started sometime in 2016. I was talking to some people who are quite affiliated with history, and we were talking about some emergency situations where the topic came up of overprinting, and which gave me a little interest into this subject. And when I went a little deep, I found that these notes do appear in a lot of collections of a lot of collectors around the world, but very few of the collectors has overprint as a specific or a separate theme by itself. Till today, I have been having some displays of my collection so that collectors, non-collectors also have an opportunity to see different banknotes which are available around the world. I have also, by grace of God, got certain awards for the collections which I have been having. I have also given presentations on the various collections which I have, and had an opportunity to uh, author a book on the hyperinflation banknotes, of which the first run of the printing has been completely distributed or sold out. Now, coming to the topic of today, what is overprint? An overprint is basically an additional layer of text or a graphic or stamping added to the face or the original stamp or banknote or stationery or any other document after it has been originally printed. Why? Why do you think you need an overprint? An overprint situation basically is created due to historical or maybe economical reason. You have situations in history like war, emergencies, new countries are formed, independence uh, has happened to say, various nations, and so many other factors. War, of course, is one of the major factor for the currency overprints, which may be during or post war. The economic developments, which would include shortages, inflation, recession, hyperinflation, or take or mergers of companies and banks, and various such reasons would be economical reasons for which an overprint would be required. Why an overprint would need to be done? There could be the change of names, the denomination of a stamp or a banknote could change, the currencies could change, the date of the original issue could be changed. There is a need of authentication is required. The note or a stamp or a document would not be issued at all, or there could be uh, positions or situations of cancellations. The How is the overprints been done? They are basically or majorly three which I have identified. One is a rubber stamp. So you overstamp any of these documents by putting a stamping a rubber stamp on it. At times it is handwritten, but which is only in a very few occasions. And of course, it could be completely reprinted. Additional printing could be done on that same document. What is the criteria which I have created or set for my collection? Uh, there are various sub themes in this collection of mine, but the main are the inflated and deflated banknotes, which are the main. And of course, there are other subtopics like name change and stamp notes. Of course, banknotes are the main focus of this collection, but I have other documents such as banknotes, tickets, legal documents, stamps, also been overprinted, which forms part of this collection, or I extended these collections to these documents also. Of course, while collecting the this collectibles, I did face a few hurdles. As mentioned earlier, this is not a focused theme by most of the collectors. So, data separately for overprints is very difficult to gather from anywhere around the world. Uh, you need to pick up small bits and pieces from various places and various collectors and various knowledgeable persons and accumulate and form this theme. Of course, this theme is very easily to be faked because people can create an own rubber stamp and just stamp it on a particular document and say it's an overprint. So one has to be very, very careful before you procure or add to your collection. So I followed one very basic concept is the additions to the collection has to be only from known sources, known collectors, known dealers, known persons whom I know. Now I come into my collection. Uh, I would like to again mention here that all the banknotes which I am showing on this collection, on this presentation, are from my collection. There are few banknotes which is been appearing on this presentation, which are from courtesy from some of the friends, which I will mention or is already mentioned on the presentation. One more aspect which I would like to make it clear. There is a lot of knowledge gained by me during the process of this collection, but I would not say the knowledge is complete and is 100% perfect. There could be errors, there could be shortfalls, there could be uh, some information which is not available with me. Uh, in case any of you has some other knowledge or information, I would love to have that to improve my knowledge as well as my database and improve my presentations also in the future. Uh, we I have during in this presentation I have split it into various sub themes and would talk about each sub theme based as it comes. uh, with the sub theme is based on the reason for the overprint. Now, uh, these are circumstances which perhaps all of us already know, but we don't really identify on a day to day or on a regular basis or really focus on those topics. One of the topics is change of the country name, which sounds difficult, but yes, as you and I know, this happens. Over the years, there are so many countries which are formed. if you see just before the World War One, there were only 59 countries, which grew to 74 in 1946. In 1950, there were 89. And as on today, as per the UN member, there are 195 country members in the UN. Only during the period of 60 to 64, 25 countries new were formed only in Africa. Also, due to the Soviet Union falling apart, there were several new countries which were created in the Eastern Europe. Many countries get formed due to colonization, civil, regional wars, ethnic policies, and various other reasons. Uh, Now, when it comes to a new country being formed, it needs time to make laws, and especially laws for new currency, and also design and plan and print and then circulate these currencies. Now, during these periods, there has to be some currency which needs to be used by the public and the people. So, normally, an existing currency in that area gets used by overprinting. I will give you a few examples from my collection. Burma. Burma became independent and a crown colony in 1937. Uh, as mentioned, initially they are not capable to start printing, so they initially used the Indian banknotes with Burma Currency Board mentioned on the documents as an overprint, and the same were used. There were other varieties of these notes also which were printed. Pakistan. Uh, you can see there are two different versions. They gained independence in 1947. So initially, the one on the left with banknote, I got a picture with the courtesy of Sri Rizwanji. Uh, this is a very rare note wherein the Indian banknote was used by an overstamp. If you see here, this is an overstamp here, which has been mentioned as Government of West Pakistan, and that was used as a currency. Subsequently, they requested the Indian government to overprint the uh, Indian banknotes with using Government of Pakistan on the banknote and were used. And in 1948 or 49, they started printing their own currencies. Bangladesh. They got independent from Pakistan in December 71, but till uh, March 72, they could not print their own currency. So they were using the Pakistan banknotes itself with a rubber stamp of Bangladesh overprinted on the banknotes. You could see two examples here of 100 rupees as well as 1 rupee, which has got the Bangladesh stamp on the banknotes. Macedonia. It got independent in September 91 from Yugoslavia, but it was only 92 that they could print. So till then, they were using the old currencies with an overstamp. Vanuatu. In 1924, they had 10 yan used over the Russian banknotes. You can see the overstamping here. They are French colonies which also were using overstamp banknotes. These is one of the banknotes issued by France, a 5 franc, which was overprinted by one of their colonies and used in uh, their country. So these were some of the examples where the country's names got changed. Then is emergency money during a war. During any period, money is always needed, and during wartime, there is more which is needed. So it is needed by the government, rebels, guerrilla, war teams, and many others who will not have time enough to go and print their own banknotes. So they would use local banknotes with overprinting of used for specific purposes. Kosovo, they used banknotes of Macedonia with an overprint. These were used as legal tender for illegal procurement of weapons what Kosovo Liberation Army. So it's just not the government or the public, but it's been used by many other uh, uh, what I would say people. Bosnia. Here you can see two different types. One is used by the United Nations Civil Police at the Sarajevo station. So these notes were basically valid only in that particular area. If these banknotes move anywhere else, it's not a valid document to be used. This was sometime in 1992. In 93, you could see this becomes a local note during the wartime, which had been overstamped by two German marks by a restaurant. So it could be used only in that restaurant. So it becomes something like you could put it as a token or a coupon from their particular restaurant. Philippines. The guerrilla groups formed in the during the World War II against the Japanese occupation. They started using prints, printed notes with overprinting. The paper quality is very low, but was used. This is a 10-cent voucher of 1942, which says that this is the money which I am giving you, but you can only encash it after the war is over. So you see, there are different situations created during an emergency period like these. The government itself, the Japanese government, when they occupied, they also had a Japanese war notes claim and a Japanese war team war notes which were issued. Now, coming to the next subtopic is the change of dates. The dates could be changed because the bank has to reissue, the validity of the bank has to be seen, the notes needs to be changed. This is a German note which says it is cleared. The original date was September 29th to 22, and the new date becomes October 22nd, 1922. Here it's mentioning the overprinting has been done so that the validity date has been incorporated, which is September 30th, 1922. Here, there are two things which has happened. One is the denomination has been changed from 500 marks to 5 million marks. Also, the validity of the banknotes has been incorporated as 31st of October 23. Here, this was a note which was issued in 1918, and again it was reissued after several years because they had the note printed lying in their stock, so they started reissuing it. So they have written back again in circulation, but only up till November 30th, 22. This particular note was originally issued on 1st October 1918 and now reissued on 8th October 23, almost 5 years later, and the denomination got increased from 5 marks to 5 lakh marks. Here, the date is revised from 23rd October 22 with an overstamp to August 11, 23. And the denomination is also increased from 1,000 to 500,000 marks. They are commemorative notes which gets issued from by taking the original banknote and incorporating the reason for the commemorative. This was done in 81 in Philippines. You can see here, this is an overprint which is done on the banknote. This is a banknote issued in Yugoslavia, where you had the NAM meeting in 1989. Then a very important topic. The currency name itself has been changed. Basically, for economical reasons, the name of the currency would have been changed. Brazil, one of the countries who has changed the name of the currency, they have done it 9 times. Three examples are being given here one by one. The Cruzeiro was in 64 to 67, which got replaced by Cruzeiro Nero. Then the Cruzeiro was in 86 to 89, which got replaced by Cruzeiro Nero. And you can see in all these, there is an overstamp by which it gets changed before the new currencies are actually printed. The Cruzeiros Novo is being replaced by Cruzeiros. Here, the currency, the denomination remains the same, but only the name of the currency has been changed. Argentina, that's another country who has also done it 9 times. Here, the peso argentino has been changed to astral. It has been even done quite some time back. Hungary has done it 8 times. Here you can see in 1926, the corona has been changed by filler. So 125 corona becomes 1 filler. You can see here, this is the overprint. Yugoslavia. In 1990, 4 coronas were overprinted on a 1 dinar banknote. Another reason for an overstamping would be propaganda currencies, which has been done in various countries. In India, this is an information which I got from Rizwanzi. In 2013, the separatists in Kashmir used the Indian currency, putting an overstamp, go India, go back, leave Kashmir, quit Kashmir, and these were circulated. Just prior to the formation of Telangana, the banknotes were stamped Jai Telangana in Telugu as well as English and got circulated. These are some of the banknotes in 1983 in Iran. Now coming to another economical reason would be because a name of the bank is changed, because a new country is formed, or the change of ownership has happened, or the banks have merged. You can see an example in Mozambique. Bolivia, Greece. This is way back in 28. Then there are special stampings which happens on the banknotes for various reasons. Here you see the banks have become invalid banknotes. So you stamp invalid on them. This is written here, printed in German, which written valid till called means the banknotes is valid. You use it till it is called back by the government. Change of control. The original banknote was issued by a particular city, but then the control has moved to somewhere else. So that is an overstamp which has been put onto the banknote. Cancelled. These are banknotes which are cancelled. Paid. These were printed but never issued. So they will print not issued on it. Now these are very typical rare notes in India. Images I got from Sri Rajendra Maruji. This particular note, if you see, has two stamps. One is Burma note and Pakistan note, both. Now, if you see earlier when I showed you the overprints of Pakistan and Burma, you had Pakistan or Burma printed on to the banknotes. It's overprinted. So they would be valid only in those countries. But if there are notes remaining back in India, people used to, try to delete the overprint and try to go to the bank to encash it, which because the bank has a record based on prefixes, they know that this is not a note to be used in India. So they stamp that this is a Pakistan note and refused the payment. This is an Hyderabad note. This note copy print I got from Amit Bir Singh ji, and this is in Hyderabad. If the bank note is cut, the payment would be refused. That is what it implies. Increase in denomination. Because of hyperinflation situation, currencies would be increased. And you can see here some examples from different countries where the denominations has been increased by overprinting or by stamping. This is in Germany. This is another example from Germany. One more German. Then same way, once the hyperinflation is over, you need to revalue your currencies, and by which the denomination would go down. Here, Malta, you can see the currency is being reduced from 2 shilling to 1 shilling. Bolivia, you can see here from 100,000 to 10. Uruguay, Brazil, Argentina. Another example at Argentina. Another example of Argentina. Authorization. There would be, because of war and uncertain circumstances, people would need to authenticate the banknotes before it's been used. Those are and examples for that. Lottery ticket, which is a very, very typical case. Danube was a new federative state which was going to be replacing the Austro-Hungary monarchy in that area. Unfortunately, it could not be formed, but there were currency notes which were half printed, and lying in the stock. So a few years later, when the uh, government saw a large stack of uncompleted banknotes lying, they used those banknotes to issue them as lottery tickets. They have overprinted on a currency note. You can see here, this is where the currency were mentioned. The format was of the banknote for which they used it as, this was 1000 kronas. They used it as a lottery ticket. Now, these I gave you an example still now of uh, banknotes. Now I will show you some bank checks which are there, which are overprinted from my collection. These could happen also because of, as I mentioned, change of bank, change of country, and they will not have enough time to print new checkbooks to be issued. So they would use the old checkbooks so that the transactions don't stop. You see here, Imperial Bank is being changed to State Bank because the name is changed. The location has been overprinted. The name of the bank is changed from Bank of Bengal to Imperial Bank of India. Here it is being changed by hand from Bank of Montreal to Bank of Commerce. Here the bank name as well as location has been changed from Mercantile Bank to an Indian bank. Here you can see the Sionen is a new name for Singapore under the Japanese uh, during the World War. So even the name of the city has been changed. Here the location, it was Rangoon, and now the check will be used in Bombay. Thank you, all of you. I hope I have been able to give you some overview on the overprint banknotes and documents. Of course, there is a lot more I could speak and in more detail, but uh, the time does not permit me to do it more. I have a next presentation of mine on another theme on 19th September, and request all of you to again join in on that particular day. I now request you, if you have any questions, please direct them to me and I will try to answer as many as possible today. Thank you very much again to all of you to join this presentation. Thank you. I look forward for questions. Ketan, good question, but frankly, I am still trying to search this information, but I really don't have. As you saw, I did show you some old banknotes early in uh, the 19th century, the 20th century, in 19 and 1920s. But I'm not aware if there are any before that, which I'm still trying to search around. Uh, yes, I would, but I think my collection is not very huge yet to and do not cover all the types and all the countries. I'm still trying to get more information as well as more banknotes into the collection. And once I have it, yes, I will try to gather and put some information together for other collectors to utilize. I don't collect any specimens, but looking at an overprints, I would not say specimens would be an overprint because those are basically banknotes prior to being even issued. Uh, it's a good question, but uh, I'm immediately not aware of somebody who's doing it at present. Yes, each country will have a different system because the new currency which comes in, which becomes a regular currency, will definitely replace the overprinted banknotes. So you see, some of the banknotes which I showed you has a validity period also. So if you try to use the banknotes after that particular date, they are not valid. The same would happen to the ones which are issued as overprint. Once the new currency comes in, the government would expect you to go back and exchange them with the new currencies. I hope I could find some book giving me so this information, which would make my collecting process much more easier. Uh, it would depend from different countries. They would use the regular printing ink. There would not be something special which will use. And you see a lot of the banknotes overprintings are being done by rubber stamping. They are not actual reprinting also. Each country would have a different policy for how to cancel the overprint notes. So it cannot be a specific system, but every country will make their own, depend on the situation at that particular time. Not that I'm aware of. The most interesting which I would find is when there are more than one stamping on it. Like I showed you some banknotes where there is the change of currency as well as change of denomination. So you have uh, two activities done by a single overprint. Of course, I have still not completed my overprint banknote collections completely. It is not been done on a very high speed. There are a lot of banknotes from around the world which still I need to add. No, I don't do not. I really don't do the states. Even the Hyderabad note was not in my collection. it was displayed here in the presentation by courtesy of a friend of mine. Yes, this is a tricky situation, but in any case, you need to have the original banknote, and on that, you are going to put a rubber stamp on it. So, if at that particular time in those days, you already have the original banknote and you put a rubber stamp on it, it could be used, but of course, it's fake. Even if you know banknotes itself or even document itself today do get fake. But when it is rubber stamped, it is definitely, as I told you, difficult to identify, and that's what I mentioned in my presentation, that that is one very tricky thing for me when I'm doing this collection, to be assured that the banknote which I am adding is not a fake one. Basically, if you have banknotes which are not issued and in stock at the with the government itself, and you stop the that particular currency, so you don't want any of these which is in your possession to be circulated in any manner, so you put a stamp of not issued. So even if it gets leaked out or moved into the circulation, it cannot be used. My favorite collection still remains my hyperinflation banknote collection. One needs to have something other than doing your regular work. This just happened as a process because I used to travel a lot, and some banknotes always remains back with you after your trip. So unknowingly, some collection already builds up, and that got little expanded, little more than a little collection. They should. Unfortunately, I have not had any of my overprint banknotes graded, so I'm not really fully aware of this. Guys, any more questions? I would like to thank all of you again for joining me on this presentation, and I hope I have been able to give you at least the basics of what an overprint banknotes or documents is. Would have loved to give you a more detailed presentation, but time is also a factor which one needs to take care when you give a presentation. Thank you again, and again request you to subscribe to this channel and like this presentation if you feel it was a good one. and hope to see you during my next presentation. Thank you very much.